So, I'm sharing my story how I was diagnosed with this dissociative identity disorder and how I journeyed through wholeness and health and found joy and peace. And for 20 years, I've been living an amazingly blessed life. But back to when I was diagnosed, I was working with Pastor Leah, and I would go into her office and I would sit there. And sometimes I had written, or one of the parts had written her a letter, and she would read it and we would talk about that. Or I would draw her pictures and the little ones would come out and draw her pictures and we would go there. And sometimes she could tell it was not me that was there. Body language is amazing. And if you work with people, you know their body language. And she would just know it was not me. I remember one time in the very beginning. So I remember just pieces of it because I still was having a hard time trusting myself to hear what they had to say. And I can remember sitting in the chair. Well, I wasn't really sitting in the chair. I was kind of, as I had explained earlier, kind of in the balcony watching another part sit in this chair. There's nothing I could do about it. Someone else was in charge. But the feeling that I had in this chair was that if I could have shrunk down into a little tiny speck, I would have. I did not want to be there. Matter of fact, I wore my hair very long and I would put it over my face just so I could see through it to see her. Like, I wanted to see her, but I did not want her to see me. And so here I am. I've got my hair over my face and I'm just sitting there. And Leah was like, "So who wants to talk to me today?" And it was difficult to get them to talk. Like, they wanted to talk, but they didn't want to talk. It was one of those things. And Leah would say, "Steph, if you can stay around and listen, it would be helpful." Sometimes I did, sometimes I did not. But this one time, I'll remember it, like, this little one was so afraid and she was so frightened. And she was just sitting in the chair, and Leah had moved her chair a little closer and had asked, "Is it okay if I come a little closer?" She shook her head yes, and Leah got closer and she said, "Can I hold your hand? Is it okay if I touch you?" And being unsure, all I can remember from that event, I'm sure there was more conversation going on that I don't remember, but Leah reached out. And these are Leah's fingers. And she touched right here on my hand. And it was lightning, like painful. Like, you would have thought she had a drill that was drilling into like, all she did was barely touch it. And it hurt. And I remember pulling back and it just being so painful to be touched. And God bless Leah's heart. I'm sure she stayed there and chatted with them longer. Like I said, I think I checked out. I think it got too scary. Why is touch so painful for this one? But Leah asked, if she could pray with her. That at the time she would say, remember Aslan? Aslan was the lion and the Lion Witch in the Wardrobe. Aslan is safe. Aslan was the representation of God to the little ones on the inside. We can ask God to bring, calmness to you and stuff. And she prayed for me. And I remember at the end of that visit, Leah held that little one's hand and the pain wasn't there anymore. Like, whatever she shared, whatever her story is, and I don't remember that story from that time. Mind you, it's been 20 years since the story went by. But that little one who it just hurt when she just barely touched her, and just the pain of it. By the end of that visit, she was okay having her hand held. And I just sit there and go, that had to have been the grace of God. I don't know what all she shared, if she could talk much, but it does remind me 2 years ago I read a book, long time since the situation, but this book was The Body Keeps the Score. It's an amazing book. Psychologically speaking, our body remembers what was done to it. And now it makes back then so much sense. I mean, Leah used to tell me about body memories, and my body was having memories that I didn't have the knowledge of at the time. The parts did. The different parts would come out, and they would know why I was in pain, or they would know why things bothered me that I did not know. But I'll never forget that little one who just the touch on her hand hurt so bad. And I am so glad that she is okay, and that I'm okay, and that I can have hugs and people can hold my hand, and there is not pain with touch anymore. And that to me is an amazing, amazing thing. And it just took time, and it just took patience with it. But our bodies are remarkable things. To remember stuff like that, I remember there were a lot of different body memories I was having, and Leah had to go, it's okay if you don't remember. It's all right. Your body's just remembering, and we'll talk about it later. So thanks for listening to my story. There is so much more to tell you.